Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is DeFub21, and today, right just this morning, we have, certainly this morning, my time, GMT time, we have got some very interesting new information from Nintendo, of all companies. They have released their full year earnings report this morning. Again, this morning, my time here in Ireland. And that's still considered GMT or Greenwich Mean Time, I believe, although that might be out of date. You'd have to check online if you want to know more on that. They've released their full year earnings report this morning, and there are three very, very substantial tidbits of information within it that are not just boring graphs and market share this and market share that. Specifically, they have revealed that the Nintendo NX is not being released until March 2017. Now, apparently this is going to be a global launch, so one assumes they're launching both Japan, America, and Europe simultaneously. I'm not quite sure if they've done that before. I think they did it with the Wii. And maybe the DS. They didn't do it with the 3DS, I don't believe. 3DS was November, December in Japan, and February, March the following year in America and Europe, if memory serves. But they are releasing the NX in March 2017. They've also announced that the NX will not be shown off, even as importantly, it will not be shown off at E3, which is something quite frankly of a gobsmacker, because at the stage we're now in, we're now in late April. What that effectively means is that the NX's release is still less than a year away at this stage. It is less than a year away at this stage, but we're not seeing it at E3. Why we're not seeing it at E3, I don't know. I mean, I could do some hypothesizing, but we're not going to see it at E3. That'll be, that's unprecedented. I don't think any console manufacturer has launched a console and not shown it off at E3 in the prior 12 months to 12 to 6 months before its release. So it coming out in March 17th, in March 2017, and not having an E3 reveal for the actual system itself is something of a gobsmacker, to put it mildly. Taking that into account, they could show it. I mean, my guess is that we'll have to see a reveal, because it's coming out in March next year. We'll have to see a reveal of the console hardware and a lineup of its games for its launch lineup of games at the very least. At some point, the second half of this year. The obvious candidates, considering Nintendo's rather Japanese-centric view on things historically, would be the Tokyo Game Show. But the Tokyo Game Show has been considered to be quite dead, certainly by the Western press and industry, for quite some time. Whether they be able to convince a lot of Western games press, and let alone mainstream media, to travel all the way to Tokyo to see their NX press conference release, and I would assume maybe actually look at the NX hardware and actually get to play it or use it before it's released. I don't know if that's possible. There's also a couple of big European games events that happen later on in the year that could also see the NX being shown off at those. That would be earlier. I think Tokyo Game Show is November, maybe even December. I can't remember exactly, but it's close enough to Christmas. I'll comment when I've got the last bit of information out of the way. The last bit of information is that Zelda U, in other words, the full-blown 3D big-budget Zelda game for the Nintendo Wii U, is being released simultaneously on both systems, both on the Wii U and the NX, and it is also being delayed till March. That's three pieces of information. To repeat myself, it isn't coming out till March. We're not seeing it at E3 this year. Apparently, yes, the E3, what I assume won't be a press conference, but will be one of their Nintendo Direct videos for E3, will be centered around Zelda, and Zelda will be the only playable, apparently, Wii U game on the show floor at E3 this year, which would means, to my mind, means a relatively small presence by Nintendo, even by their pretty minuscule standards the last couple of years. But it's a real, again, I've said previously that a holiday 2017 launch for the NX, assuming it's a conventional plug-into-a-wall socket home console, would be disastrous because it's simply too late in the existing console life cycle. They need to launch, I was under the view that they needed to launch this year. Launching it in March of early next year, it's a difference of a couple of months, January, February, March, and you got December, assuming that it should launch, or that I thought it would previously, they were going to be launching in November, which is what they typically do, is the consoles launch in November, but obviously that's not happening. So it's a difference of a couple of months that do mean quite some, can have quite a difference, because let's remember here, for those who may not know, AMD recently announced that they had 3 business wins, quote unquote, from their part of their business that takes their existing chips and modifies their design on behalf of a client and then licenses production rights to that client of that customized chip. There were apparently, AMD had 3 of these business/design wins over the last year to 2 years, and they were announcing them only, was it a week ago now at this stage? One of them is highly likely to be the customized chip in the PlayStation 4K. The second, or one of them, was believed to be the Nintendo NX's key chip as well, its APU. And the third was, as of yet, an unknown quantity. Theoretically, it could be Microsoft pulling the same with the Xbox One and Xbox 1.5 with improved graphic capability. And if there isn't a current console that could do with an upgrade, it is the Xbox One. Although, again, the reaction from the consumer base, certainly about the PS4K, has been divisive, to put it mildly. But what this means is this: if the PS4K is coming this year, I can assume that it is. I'm going to assume that it is. And if maybe even possibly, we're certainly getting an Xbox Slim this year. Whether we'll get an Xbox Slim and an Xbox 1.5, I don't know. But there's a good possibility that certainly me personally will be presented with potentially 2 new improved consoles this Christmas: an improved PlayStation 4 and an improved Xbox One. Now, I'm not particularly predisposed towards buying an improved Xbox One because I've just bought so few games for the vast bulk of the games I've got for my Xbox One are on or games I got with Games of Gold. I've not bought that many games, and most of the ones I have bought were on sale. It's my gaming that since 2013 has been much more PC centric than it has been since the beginning of the 360 era. And the PlayStation 4 was therefore my logical target. I was to procure new console hardware this year because of the exclusives, Uncharted 4, Bloodborne, and so on. And I was thinking of waiting till when Uncharted 4 comes out, they will be releasing an Uncharted 4 edition of their console, in other words, where the Uncharted 4 game is packed in with the system. And that was what I was thinking about buying. When the rumors of the when the rumors of the PS4K arose, that led me to become more suspicious. And when it became almost certain that is the case, that is a real thing and it's out there, I've basically put off my purchase until I know what the PS4K is, what it's capable of, and how much it costs. I'm going to be presented come November this year personally with the choice: do I wait for the NX? Do I buy the PS4K, assuming that I'm really interested in it? Maybe do I trade in my existing Xbox One and use it to fund the purchase of or partially fund the purchase of an improved Xbox One, if that's the case as well? I just don't know. But it's unprecedented in recent memory for a console, one of the 3 platform holders, not to show off their new console at E3 when their new console is less than a year away. It's just, one could look at it from the positive standpoint. Maybe they're delaying to March so they have a global launch. 1. 2, maybe they're delaying till March because, particularly after what happened to the 3DS and the Wii U, which is that when they came out, they didn't have those first-party exclusives that would drive hardware sales and drive interest in the platform ready. And again, Nintendo is particularly first-party exclusive sensitive because of its lack of third-party support. Maybe, again, with what happened to the 3DS, where they had to slash the price of the system by $80 within the first 12 months was on the market, and the fact that the Wii U has done as badly as it has, again, heavily driven by the fact that the system did not have those first-party exclusives at launch, and for what it was also quite expensive. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're delaying till March. They want everything ready. They want everything perfect. They want the maximum number of quality first-party titles, and hopefully, fingers crossed, third-party titles as well. Maybe they know they can't manufacture enough of the systems. There have been rumors out there, speculation out there, that they have gone with a top-of-the-line AMD tech, and certainly in terms of both the APU, but also in terms of graphics, and maybe going with a 14-nanometer fabrication process, which from AMD's perspective is literally top-of-the-line. In which case, if that's the case, maybe they cannot get enough chips, the yields, the number of chips from each silicon wafer that are viable are simply not high enough to allow them to launch simultaneously globally in November, with only, say, 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months maximum of serial production of the actual system. But waiting... maybe it's also down to the fact that they want the third parties to be, to have a really good showing, and they haven't. Apparently, the proper dev kits have not been dispersed en masse to the third parties yet, and maybe that's something to do with it as well. Maybe they think they can't have, they won't have stuff work in a good enough state by E3 to show off the games. There could be a couple of variables, but this is really... there was already, a lot of concern both from myself and a lot of people out there who are either fans of Nintendo or certainly, pay an awful lot of attention to them being one of the 3 console manufacturers about, considering the disaster that was the Wii U, the seriously messed up first 12 months really that the 3DS is on the market, and of course that the fact that the most recent CEO of the company, died, wasn't this year, was last year. It's, and there's therefore new leadership in charge of the company. What's going on at Nintendo? What's their plan? What are they planning on doing? Because, we're looking again to reiterate, no E3 press conference for the system. When are we going to see it? When are they going to show us the hardware? And again, they reiterate in the full financial report that it's a new concept. Well, they tried the new concept with the Wii and it worked spectacularly well. Well, then they went around and tried it with the Wii U and it was a complete and utter disaster. So who the hell knows what's going to happen there? It could be a complete and utter train wreck for all I know, for all we know. This is, to put it bluntly, it very much is may you live in interesting times type territory. It really is. But yeah, it's going to make E3 this year an awful lot less interesting than it was. Although again, PS4K is certainly going to spice things up. It's that is not, to my mind, it's not good news. It's pushing things. Holiday season 2017 would be certainly way too late to launch the system. I assume the delay till March is either down to issues of production capacity, option 1, or down to production capacity. Maybe the first party games aren't quite there yet. I mean, you got to remember, Nintendo had huge trouble working a start with HD games development initially on the Wii, which is one of the reasons why the first party library was so problematic in the first 12 months the system was on the market, which isn't really a surprise. The company was so insular, they seem to have not paid attention to anyone else in Japan who was having great difficulty with HD games console development. A lot of Japanese publishers did not survive the transition from PS2 to PS3 and 360. Oh, I could natter on. There was some other information, in terms of the Mario Maker sold 3.5 million units or thereabouts, and there's other bits of information in there that I don't really care about because I don't have a Wii U. But this is that's a shocking bit of information. I really do want to know what you think in the comments. Please let me know in the comments. Please let me know what you think. all the feedback I can get from you on both this and anything else that you'd like to hear from me about, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please like it, and if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do so. No new Nintendo console at E3, less than a year before it's launched. Bloody hell.